Imagine a baby abandoned floating down a great river in a basket made of reeds. It's a story you've probably heard before, but this is not the story of Moses. This is the story of a boy who was found by a simple gardener, a boy who should have been destined for a life of quiet obscurity, tending to plants in the shadow of a palace. But this child was different. He would not spend his life in the dirt. Instead, he would rise from the humblest of beginnings, to topple kings, to forge a new kind of army, and to build something the world had never seen before, an empire. This is the incredible true story of the gardener who became the world's first emperor, a man who called himself Sargon the Great. He wasn't born a king, he made himself one. And in doing so, he wrote the blueprint for every emperor who would ever follow. Our story begins over 4,000 years ago in Mesopotamia, the fertile land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. According to a legend, discovered centuries later, a high priestess gave birth to a son in secret. Forbidden from keeping the child, she placed him in a basket sealed with tar and set him adrift on the river, leaving his fate to the gods. The river, however, was kind. It carried the basket to a man named Akki, a gardener for the king of Kish, one of the most powerful city-states in the ancient land of Sumer. Akki found the baby and raised him as his own son. Now it's a fantastic story, isn't it? A baby saved from a river, destined for greatness. But it's almost certainly a legend. A brilliant piece of political marketing written long after Sargon was in power. By claiming such a humble origin, he could paint himself as a man of the people, chosen by the gods, not just another nobleman hungry for power. Even his name, Sargon, means true king, a name he chose for himself. The real story of his birth is lost to time, but we know one thing for sure. He didn't stay a gardener for long. Somehow, through a mix of sharp intelligence and sheer ambition, Sargon found his way into the royal court of Ur-Zababa, the king of Kish. And he didn't just get any job. He landed one of the most trusted positions in the entire kingdom, the royal cupbearer. Now, cupbearer might sound like a fancy term for a waiter, but in the ancient world it was so much more. The cupbearer was the king's constant shadow, his most trusted confidant. He was present at every secret meeting and was the last person to handle the king's drink before you drink it, the final line of defense against poison. This position gave Sargon a front row seat to the inner workings of power, and it gave him the perfect opportunity to seize it. At this time, Mesopotamia was a chaotic patchwork of warring city-states. The dominant power was a man named Lugal-zage-si, the king of Uruk, who had already conquered most of the surrounding lands. The kingdom of Kish was on a direct collision course with him, and everyone knew a war was coming. It was in this tense environment that Sargon's ambition truly ignited. The legends tell a dramatic tale. They say King Ur-Zababa had a terrifying dream, and shortly after, Sargon had a dream of his own. In his dream, the goddess of love and war, Enheduanna, drowned the king in a river of blood. When Sargon told the king his dream, Ur-Zababa was understandably terrified. He decided his cupbearer had to be eliminated, but he didn't want to get his own hands dirty. His first plan was to send Sargon to the chief smith to be thrown into a vat of molten bronze. But the legend says Sargon's protector goddess, Enheduanna, warned him, and the plot failed. Frustrated, the king devised a new plan. He wrote a message on a clay tablet and sent Sargon to deliver it personally to his greatest rival, King Lugal-zage-si in the city of Uruk. The message contained a simple, chilling request. Kill the man who delivers this. Sargon was being sent on a death march. But something incredible happened when he arrived in Uruk. The clay tablets that tell this story are broken at this exact point, so we don't know the details. Did he reveal the plot to Lugal-zage-si? Did he use the opportunity to forge a secret alliance? We don't know for sure, but we know the result. Sargon did not die. Instead, in a stunning turn of events, he returned to his home city of Kish and somehow overthrew his old boss, King Ur-Zababa. Just like that, the cupbearer was now the king. But Sargon wasn't satisfied with just one city. His gaze immediately turned to the very man who was supposed to execute him, Lugal-zage-si, the most powerful king in the land. The war that followed was more than just a battle between two men. It was a clash between the old world of city-states and Sargon's new radical vision, and Sargon won. He didn't just defeat Lugal-zage-si's powerful army. He captured the king and 50 of his governors. In a final act of humiliation, Sargon put his rival in a neck stock and paraded him to the gate of the holy city of Nippur. This public shaming sent a clear message to the entire world. My power is absolute, and my gods are stronger than yours. With this single victory, Sargon became the undisputed master of Sumer. But for him, this was just the beginning. The armies Sargon had defeated were mostly citizen militias, farmers, and craftsmen. They were not professional soldiers. Sargon knew that to hold his new kingdom together and to expand it, he needed a new kind of weapon. He created a standing army of 5,400 men who, according to ancient inscriptions, ate bread daily before him. This was revolutionary. These were full-time professional soldiers, paid and equipped by the king. Their only job was to fight, and their loyalty was to Sargon alone. He armed them with the most advanced weapons of the day, like the powerful composite bow, which could shoot arrows that pierced enemy armor from a distance. This professional army gave him an enormous advantage. He could wage war all year long, and his soldiers were better trained and more experienced than any opponent. With this new military machine at his command, Sargon was ready to do what no one had ever done before: build an empire. He marched his army north, along the Euphrates River, conquering the lands that are now Syria and Lebanon. His inscriptions boast that he reached the Cedar Forest and the Silver Mountain, securing control over vital trade routes. He then turned east, marching into modern-day Iran and south, extending his reach all the way down the Persian Gulf. In a powerful symbolic gesture, Sargon washed his weapons in the sea, doing so in both the Mediterranean and the Persian Gulf. This was his declaration that his rule stretched from one end of the known world to the other. He had conquered dozens of kingdoms, but now came the hard part: ruling it all. History was filled with conquerors whose kingdoms fell apart as soon as they died. Sargon was determined not to be one of them. He completely dismantled the old system. Instead of allowing local kings to rule, he installed his own loyal Akkadian governors in every city. These men answered directly to him. He also cleverly used his own family. He appointed his daughter, Enheduanna, as the high priestess in the important city of Ur. This was a brilliant move, and Enheduanna became an incredibly powerful figure. She was also a talented poet and writer, and amazingly, she is the very first author in all of human history whose name we know. What Sargon created around 2334 BCE was the world's first true empire. A large, multi-ethnic state ruled by a single central authority. He standardized weights and measures to make trade easier. He built roads and created what might have been the world's first postal system. The Akkadian language, his own tongue, became the language of government, helping to unite the diverse peoples he had conquered. His new capital city, Akkad, became the glittering center of this new world. Sargon ruled for an incredible 56 years. It wasn't a peaceful reign. He was constantly putting down rebellions, but he held his empire together. After his death, his dynasty continued, and it was under his grandson, Naram-Sin, that the empire reached its peak. Naram-Sin was as ambitious as his grandfather. After crushing a massive rebellion, he took a step Sargon never dared to. He declared himself a living god. He began writing his name with the symbol for a deity and had himself depicted wearing a horned helmet, something only gods wore. The gardener's family had risen from the riverbank to the heavens. But no empire lasts forever. After Naram-Sin's rule, the Akkadian Empire began to weaken. But the final blow came not from an invading army, but from the sky itself. Around 2200 BCE, the climate of the ancient world changed dramatically. A severe, centuries-long drought struck the region. The rains failed, the great rivers shrank, famine swept across the empire. The centralized system that was Sargon's greatest achievement collapsed under the strain. Into this chaos came a tribal people from the mountains known as the Gutians. The weakened, starving empire could not resist. They swept in, sacked the capital city of Akkad, and brought the world's first empire to a violent end, only 180 years after it had been born. The great city of Akkad was so completely destroyed that to this day, its ruins have never been found. Many people have asked the question that a popular video on this topic: did Sargon of Akkad, history's first emperor? And the answer is a resounding yes. The Akkadian Empire was gone, but the idea of an empire, Sargon's idea, endured. For the next 2,000 years, Sargon the Great was remembered as the ultimate model of a perfect king. The great empires that followed, the Babylonians, the Assyrians, even the Persians all, saw themselves as his heirs, copying his system of a centralized state, a professional army, and a loyal bureaucracy. The story of the gardener who became the world's first emperor is a testament to the power of human ambition. He rose from nothing to become the most powerful man on earth, and in doing so, created the very blueprint for empire that would shape human history for thousands of years to come. Every emperor who followed, whether they knew it or not, was walking in the footsteps of Sargon the Great. The story of Sargon is one of the most incredible tales from the ancient world, a true first-ever incident that changed the course of history. If you found this journey back in time fascinating and want to uncover more stories of the firsts that shaped our world, then please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us bring more of these amazing stories to light. Thank you for watching First Ever Incident.